it's kind of like the government bullying you, demanding that you, because of the coof, the sweet and sour sniffles, the Wu flu, that you had to get your Fauci ouchie, and you had to wear your little mask and be a good little cook. You had to be, and hold on, I'm gonna do something real quick. Or we're gonna continue to watch this, but I don't think a lot of people realize that if I were to bring up some depictions of um, the slaves that the Egyptians kept, they did something very interesting. They had bars like this down their nose, and then they had a thing that covered then they had a thing that covered their mouth, basically. So what this did is it kind of removed people's identities, the slaves' identities. And the Egyptians kept all kinds of slaves, but the point was that you're no longer anything other than something that works for us. You're a cog in the machine, and so it's interesting with the whole putting on the Wu flu, the droplets, the Fauci droplets, the droplets. Is that you got to be careful, guys. And I'm not mocking anyone that was scared about it. I'm not mocking anyone that got the jab. I'm not mocking anyone that didn't get the jab. I'm just saying there was a lot of bullying going on, and there were a few people that did stand up to the government and took a stand, and there were some people that were in really, really bad positions and kind of had made some really tough choices. Um, that's what's that mean based? Do we need to quote unquote bully them out of our lives or stand 10 toes down on our principles? Oh, like stand strong on our principles. Yeah, I mean that's a great question. We're just talking about bullying in general, of how like when we stopped kind of like standing up to people or stopped putting people in their place and started allowing everyone at the table, then the people that used to kind of get shoved into lockers are now trying to run things, and now they're trying to shove you into a locker. When you accept everything, then you have no morals, you have no values, you have no principles. When you allow everything, that becomes a form of hedonism, and then next thing you know, it's Sodom and Gomorrah. Basically, that's been my understanding probably about the last decade. And I think the show Glee, for those that don't remember, I think the show Glee was like a giant gateway to the Skittles group to kind of come in and try to demand everything. But we can talk about that here in a second. If you want to stand by, we might be able to open up to a panel. I'm not sure how much time Craig has, but we can maybe talk about this a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
But let me go ahead and finish playing the video, and then I'll respond to some of these messages here. And for those of you that do want to talk it out, more than happy to have you up here, because I think it'd make an interesting conversation.
Lucky for you, I don't want to talk. I've been doing a protest against the mask mandate for kids in school in Lawrence at the county district school building at 110 McDonald Drive. I've been there every day since July. I guess it's going on almost 4 months. I've been joined by some very nice people.
All right, so let me just kind of clarify. You kind of showed up a little late, but I think hopefully I just cleared it up by saying that it's not about actively bullying someone, because I myself never bullied anyone. I myself never shoved anyone to lockers. Actually, I was usually the guy kind of standing up for people that were being messed with, that were needlessly being messed with. But the point I'm trying to make about the whole bullying thing is it's really important, because some people get a little long in the tooth, and then they have to get put back in their place, and there's a pecking order. There's a pecking order in life, and once people, not everyone could be a cook or a chef. Some people have to, wash the dishes. Some people have to deliver the dishes. Some people have to, be the hostess, or the host. Everyone's got a role to play, and not everyone gets to be the head chef, right? Because otherwise it's pandemonium. So the point I'm trying to make is there is an order to things, and when we don't have some semblance of order, then chaos then ensues, and
Like I don't
chaos is. Go ahead.
I don't think that well, neither of us I don't think would be advocating quote unquote bullying, but
Yeah.
the dynamic that is created, that you and I experience, at least on the level of standing up for yourself and recognizing if somebody else is in that seat, then you don't have to just sit and let it occur, is something that probably I think you would say, or we are saying, that we need more of.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about having spine, developing resilience. You know, if we bubble wrap the world, I mean, I think Based is probably the least bubble wrapping person on the face of the planet. He's popping bubbles, and he's not. I really don't think Based is doing it maliciously. I think he's walking the walk and talking the talk. You know, I mean, I'm trying to figure him out. He's a bit of an enigma wrapped up in a mystery, but I'm liking what I'm hearing. I'm genuine. I'm not kissing his ass. He doesn't pay my mortgage. I'm not benefiting in any other way other than when I see somebody who's walking the walk and someone that is worthy of emulating and might say some things that might hurt some fifis. I'm okay with that, as long as it's the truth, as long as it's not manipulative, as long as it's not underhanded or deceitful. I don't mind it. So I would say that you need more people that are going to tell you the truth in your life, whether it's candy coated or not. I want the truth. So, so we got the damn face diapers. Exactly. Go ahead, Craig.
It seems like Rabble and Based are just going back a little bit back and forth, not in a bad way. Obviously, I don't think.
Yeah, I would like to have them come on up on the panel at some point in time if they have the ability to, because I'm still scrolled up, so I haven't seen it all. But I'm going to go ahead and share that. But thank you, Craig. They'll point out anything that you think needs to be. But.
And we've been there every day, and a lot of people might not like what I have to offer for standing up to all this nonsense. It's not pretty, and it doesn't look good. It feels good. We got to bully them out of all.
I didn't even see it. I'll be honest with you, Based. My wife had pointed out that Leroy was kind of going at me when Craig and I and his wife and my wife were on that panel thing, and then you guys came in a little bit later. Leroy was taking shots at me. I saw what he said, but he's got a right to say it. And I'm paying attention to the panel usually, so I miss a lot of that stuff. And I don't get super triggered. I try not to feed trolls, but I don't think Leroy is a troll per se. I think he's just speaking truth, man. And listen, man, iron sharpens iron, baby. Sparks, man. You're gonna lose something. You got to have some things cut off of you in order to get honed and sharpened. And I'm all about that, man. I really am. And listen, I'm only going to let someone chew on me for so long as they're doing it in a productive, meaningful way. I don't have a problem with it. But if it becomes abusive, then I'll just dust my sandals. And then that's just something I would recommend everyone figure out where their line in the sand is. But yeah, I don't have a problem learning.
Our lives. I know little old ladies that came out on the corner, nice as can be.
Yep.
2 months later, are completely just tearing down grown men on the other side en masse. That's who we're up against. We're up against a bunch of weaklings, people who are soft. And Sherman Smith,
they muted him. They muted your mic again. Yeah, they have a habit of trying to mask you and gag you. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's somebody. Go ahead.
I want to make a suggestion because of that very thing that just occurred. And I don't know if Rabble Rouser has ever thought about this, but I believe that he might want to consider grabbing some way to record only his audio. Because when he goes back and grabs the tape or through public records, then he can add whatever audio is missing. Because I know that there's lots of times there's a reason why they try to shut him up, right? So we want to hear that, and I'm sure he can explain. But if he just you and I showed you what my portable thing that I have, I could very well have it next to me, and most people aren't opposed to you recording audio only. It's usually camera that they have a problem with, but they can't turn that off.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have a little bit of a back and forth going on here. Let me go ahead and throw it up there. I want this to be as productive as possible. And Dr. Spees is he has an interest in sociology and stuff. So and it's hard to determine text messages. I think he's got a genuine curiosity. I don't think he's trying to like poke and prod. I think he's trying to what's the word? He's trying to drill down, and it's really hard, especially when you're responding to something 5 minutes ago to get on board with it. So if you guys want to hop up and have a more direct conversation, and I would just ask that we all be respectful, and it doesn't matter. We could be men. We can talk like men. Perfectly fine with me as well. Just try not to attack the person as much as their idea if possible would be my only hope and my only request. So hopefully you guys will come on up. Let me make sure I got the thing over here. Oops. Go ahead, Craig. Please fill the silence for me.
Drabble Rouser put the link to the rest of the audio, which is good. And I don't know. I think this happens all the time, a lot of times, and he mentions that it was earlier on in his recording, so I think it sounds like he's probably taking care of it. But I think what's happening in this whole kind of not just First Amendment, but the whole gamut of us paying attention to what's going on with our government is that we're getting smarter, even though, clickbait and all that stuff is one thing where people could just make it so exciting, but there's questions that people have about their government that they want answers to. And so you just got to figure out ways to expose why there's multiple buildings in a town that aren't being used and everybody's not in that building. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, those are things that people are starting to pay attention to. So we're getting smarter, I think, and I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
All right, we got dreaded Robert Rouser up in the house. You're in the show now, Justin. Doctor, appreciate you coming up.
Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate it. What's up, FAQ? Appreciate you guys.
What's up, dude?
All right, you got the floor. Do you want to say something to base there? He's welcome to come on up. I think the stream should be in the link. Oh, let me pin it. Holy crap. Go ahead.
Oh, not necessarily to him, but just people in general that say that, hindsight now on this side of COVID, everyone was a fucking American patriot standing up, but in the reality of it, hardly anybody was. So when I hear that shit, I'm just like, all right, let's see what you are actually doing. And of course, there's nothing there. So I was just trying to see what was going on there.
Is that kind of like the mentality is if it's not on video, it didn't happen? Which is true, I guess. Yeah.
Well, more or less. But there are all kinds of things that could have been done. I mean, he mentioned not going into stores, but what else? There are things that could have been done that are captured publicly. Those things right there was like the bare minimum. Us refusing was the bare minimum. What else was done that actually could have done something? And so I was just wondering what that was, and then immediately got called out being a troll or something. I mean, just asking people, what did you do? Where's your record there on what you did? Is now trolling, and it's trolling because when you get caught, you're like, I didn't do anything. Yeah, and immediately want to say that it's the person asking you what they did, that they're somehow trolling you.
I mean, Liza asked me what a troll was. And I began to try to describe it, but it made me think about something like, are trolls always opposite what you think, or are there trolls who agree with you? I mean, it seems like trolls have a negative connotation, but I'm curious to know, like, because it seems like, people have wrenches and they're allowed to troll within within your channel or whatever. So I guess I don't know exactly what the troll's purpose is all the time, but.
Well, obviously it's interpreted by the person that's being questioned as a way, not interpreted, it's being used as a way to just shut down the conversation. Like, oh, you're trolling, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But in honesty, it's like, what did you do? Let's see that. And the reason why I say that is because, when I was protesting, man, I'd have people stop by all the time, be like, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. And at first I was like, hell yeah, people are showing up. Mm-hmm. And then when they would say that and not show up, I was like, oh, okay. So everyone fucking talks, and talk is cheap. That's what I learned. And you see it all the time online. Everyone is talking, and talk is fucking cheap. And what I mean by that is nobody gets out of the comfort of their homes into public and exposes themselves in terms of like just throwing caution to the wind and be like, all right, motherfuckers, here's what it is. Here's how I am. Nobody
Yeah.
does that shit.
Yeah, I
And
was like,
so talk is cheap is basically what I'm saying. And I'm tired of these motherfuckers. I'm tired of people just sitting around complaining online about shit. I'm tired of motherfuckers saying, you know, in hindsight, oh yeah, I didn't do that COVID shit. But if you really did have video of them back then, they were little bitch motherfuckers with their masks on and just doing what they were told so they wouldn't get in trouble by society, more or less.
yeah, I had I kind of I kept track of how long I actually wore a mask, and I think it was under 5 hours in the whole 2.5 years. And that's because being on post was a privilege, not a right, as a retiree. And getting on post wasn't a problem, but going into the pharmacy to pick up my meds, would take me like 10, 15 minutes at a time to go in, and that was their policy. And I actually ended up getting into it with another veteran in there, and he was like, because I was reading the little literature on the fucking wall there, and I'm like, oh, from the post commander, and I'm like, what are we gonna do next? We gotta fucking say yes, dear leader, no, dear leader. And some guy started giving me some shit, and I'm like, dude, you raised your right hand, you swore an oath on the Constitution, not some draconian bullshit like this. I said, I'm not your fucking enemy. I said, but if you want to fucking come at me, we can fucking go. And I'm like, I'm just like, there's people. It's like I said before, and I'm not proud of that, dude. That's ignorant. That was me being ignorant. I could have handled that so many different, better ways. What's up, Primal? So the interesting thing is, like, I keep saying that, and Sarah alluded to it last night. I had a video where it had like a movie theater screen, and it's like you can have two people sitting down watching the same exact movie and have two opposite, divergent conclusions of what it is that they just looked at, and I don't understand that. Like I don't get the cognizant dissonance that it's okay. There's nothing to see here. Like we have all these discussions about, well, there's a fucking invasion of our country of a bunch of criminal aliens coming into our country. Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, this country was built on blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Until they go to Martha's Vineyard or some other rich liberal haven, then suddenly they get fucking rounded the fuck up and sent the fuck off. It's okay when it's in everyone else's backyard, but not in their backyard, right? But they're the ones that are primarily wanting to do this. And it's like this cognizant dissonance of, it's like what's the branding right here? It's this, right? I mean, this is fine. Everything's good. Nothing to see here, guys.
My coffee's getting warm.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Justin's talking about. That's what most of the people are doing. And he's like, are you fucking insane? It's the fucking house is on fire. So this is like a troll. Go ahead, Justin.
Those are this is fine people. Those are those Biden voters that are still in 2024 still thinking that everything's fine. The COVID compliancy stuff was cut across all demographics. So obviously you had those lefties that were following this shit along, obviously. But the issue, the beef, is from the middle to the right that went along with all of that shit at the time. That's what the issue was, is that we had a bunch of compliant Americans who now, when it's over, are looking back on it and saying, denying what really happened and saying, no, of course I didn't go along with that shit. Of course I wasn't a compliant bitch. Of course I stood up. But, the reality of it is, these motherfuckers wanted to go into the store. They felt like they had to put their mask on instead of just doing. You could have hooped and hollered. You could have, there are things that could have been done. You could have grabbed yourself a sign, stood out there. There are all kinds of things, but convenience, cowardice, and a desire to and selfishness all just drove it. And it was the most eye-opening shift. I mean, just think about that. Think about that, land of the free, home of the brave. But when COVID happened, we were neither of those things, man. We were the land of compliant fucking cowards. None of those things apply. We weren't brave and we weren't fearless. And it was the most un-American shit I ever seen.
Yeah. So the hard part for me was like, and I have this thing that I'm working on where it's like my reaction to oppression, my reaction to tyranny, my reaction to another human being trying to what's the word, trying to control me, trying to dominate me, or trying to take power over me, is I want to kick their fucking teeth down their fucking throat. And you're not like that. You might do it rhetorically, but I want to do it physically, and that's not good. It's not good for me. It's not good for my health. It's not good for society. So in situations like that, I just kind of stayed away from people, because people they want to be lied to. They want to be told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, why to do it. And your whole comment that allegedly we're the land of the free because of the brave, or the home of what is it? The land of the free and the home of the brave, or due to the brave. But it's like, I don't see that anymore, man. And I think I'm more disappointed in quote unquote conservatives, having been basically liberal almost my entire life, before liberals went off the fucking reservation. It's hard for me to sit here and go, yeah, okay, this is the same country that I raised my right hand for. This is the same country that I was willing to put all the skin in the game for. I don't recognize it anymore, Justin, to your point.
That's exactly right, man. And I've been thinking a lot about this. And, when me and you first started talking, GS, we talked a lot about the culture of American identity and what that means. And here recently, I've kind of landed on what should be. I mean, if you talk about culture and you talk about identity, those are things that are inside of you. And so I'm kind of equating that to like intuition. Where's our American intuition? Where is that desire to be actually identified with the land of the free, home of the brave? Where is that? It should be intuitively inside of us as Americans. And what I saw during COVID, like I just said, was the opposite of that. And what I'm seeing now, as these government officials silence me at these meetings, and have been, and the population more or less standing by and watching it happen, is just that. Where is that? I think it's just more or less should be like intuition, American intuition. What does that mean? It means just this free spirit. You're not told what the fuck to do, and if somebody tells you what to do, you have the boldness and the cojones to stand up. That's all I'm asking, is just to stand up and say, no, I ain't doing that. Who the fuck you think you are? And then keep going. But what we saw is just what we see is just this meekness, this cowardice, this desire to not ruffle any feathers or rock the boat and make waves, but still be so mad that you'll hop online and just fucking bitch and complain and moan all day long and hope that some politician will come along and save us from this, when it should just be us and our intuition, our American intuition of fuck this shit. I'm an American, man. Fuck this shit. And we don't have that anymore. And I just think that's a really bad sign.
So this freeze frame. Go ahead, Craig.
I think like what you're talking about, the intuition of being an American and being free to do whatever it is that you want to. I feel like we see more of people being that way, but we see so many more extremes that makes it seem as though, you said you use the term meekness. So you could still follow, what the norm is, I guess, if that's what I'm thinking about. You can still follow what the norm is, but you don't have to be compelled to just do every single thing that your government tells you what to do without questioning it at all. So I feel like me personally, that there still is the notion that we are free people. But that doesn't mean that I can't question something. But at the same time, I can't be very extreme about it. We have to have some kind of balance in there. That's what I think.
I think that you're right there. But I think that people view that as more in terms of like a hedonism perspective, where I'm free and I'm going to do all of these things. And it's easy to do things that feel good to you. That don't take no braveness and anything like that. It's easy to do things that feel good to you, but you also have the freedom to not be told what to do, and then when you are, to stand up. Now that ain't fucking easy. And so where we freely choose to do all these hedonistic things that, there really are no, well, there are obviously consequences to being a hedonist, but in terms of like on the opposite side of that, like taking a stand on something that ain't comfortable, that ain't that's a vulnerable position to be in. So people won't do that because they're in the safety of their homes. They got their jobs, they got this, that, their reputation. They don't want to lose that. And that's why I
Mortgage.
say that. Yeah, that's why I say that selfish aspect comes into it. It's like, oh, okay, that's all true and right and good and true, but it's also selfish, um yeah, everybody has their life that they don't want to give up, but that's the point. If you're fat, dumb, and happy and not willing to do anything, then they got you where they want you right there.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about this guy that's not going to want to give up everything like that. So we're good. Nobody is dying on a hill, so we're good. We can keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, these are all really good points, and I want you to understand when you mention hedonism and you notice the things that they're allowing us to do as Americans. They're allowing us to eat and overeat. They're allowing us to get into corn, and only scams and all this other stuff. They're allowing us to get into like so many different levels of degeneracy. 50 shades of perversion, that kind of stuff. But look at what they're coming against. And Primal mentioned something I thought was kind of interesting. It says, ever try to convince / argue with someone that their religion is wrong? How'd that go? Politics has become the religion for many in the secular world. Yeah, it comes down to people want to be led. They want to be told what to do, how to act, and how to behave. But when you look at what the world promotes versus what the world stands against, and if you see that the world seems to be wicked and evil and going down into the road of perdition, being the rebel is doing what Dr. Spees is doing. Look he's got his stick. He wrestled his property back. He probably had every right to have fed this guy his freaking teeth with that stick. You want the stick? Here's the stick. You can have the stick. I'll give it to you a few times. But so Jordan Peterson said that there's no virtue in being a weak man. You're not turning the other cheek. You have no other choice but to turn the other cheek because you're a weak man.
Exactly.
That Jordan Peterson said you should instead be a monster, but you should be able to control that and harness that. I'm still working on. I'm definitely a monster.
Exactly.
And I'm still trying to work on how to harness it. This is a man right here holding a stick who was able to, when he needed to, become a monster, but then he was able to harness it and turn it off immediately. So I look at people like this, and with respect, people like Based, people like Leroy, people like Craig. Craig's a lot more gentle than some of these more outspoken people. And I don't know everything about everyone, and then we got Justin, and I look at these men and I say, here are men worthy of paying attention to. Here are men that are worthy of following a little bit more closely what it is they do. How do they operate in the world? How do they conduct themselves in the world? Do they allow themselves to become so irate and angry that they lose the script, they lose the plot, and so I think there's an importance to stand up, but it's how you stand up, when you stand up, why you stand up. And the spirit that I see in someone like yourself, someone like I think Based and I think Leroy are fighting for the right reasons. Primal, I haven't really met too much. I don't know a whole lot about him. I know that Craig is a very principled man. I'm trying to be a principled man, and I know that my heart's in it for this country to be as free as possible and to be I'd like it to be a lot more moral than it is. I'd like myself to be more moral. It makes me feel like, okay, the American spirit there's still a spark there. There's still a bit of a flame. It might not be a bonfire like it used to be, but I don't know if they can snuff it out. I mean, when 3% of the population stood up against the crown of England and overthrew it with the help of another 8% of the logistics support of the people in the countryside, we can do it, guys. And any thoughts on that? All right. I love it. Stunned silence. So, I mean,
you cut out there, Gio. I didn't hear the very, very end.
Oh, I said Dr. Hadi is really cool. I like him. He's the best.
Oh, thank you.
No, I was saying, are there any thoughts on the fact that I see people like you guys that are still fighting the good fight, fighting against perdition, fighting against immorality, fighting against like disgusting stuff, and actually kind of turning towards righteousness. Not that you yourself are righteous or I am righteous, but we're trying to be righteous, and we're trying to do the righteous thing, right? We're trying to stand up for those that don't have a voice for themselves, and that lets me know that it's not over, man. There's still hope, and
Well,
I'm not quite black-pilled. Go ahead.
I saw, you know, when this attack there happened that you're showing up on the screen there, you know, I was in the middle of that doing that protest at that time, and so the next day I was standing out on the corner, not that same corner, but the corner at the school district admin building, and up to the stoplight, a guy pulls up and he's like, "Hey," he hollers out, he's like, "Hey," he's like, "I seen that video of what happened, of you getting attacked and how you stood up for yourself, and I want to let you know I respect you." And I was like, "All right, man, I appreciate that." And so there's a lesson in that. You know, people ain't rolling up and saying, "Hey, man, I saw you being a fucking meek ass pussy, and I respect that." You know, no, that ain't happening. And so we need to, you know, we need to do things that are respectable. And things that are respectable are, you know, standing up for yourself. You know, that's a simple fucking thing, really. And there seems to be this kind of aversion to that for some reason, like this. I tell you what, when I was teaching, I used to teach this group counseling class, and I love group counseling. And one of the things that's important with groups to be effective is it's called confrontation. I'm sure it's now, you know, basically probably called challenging now, but confrontation in a group is someone says, "Hey, you're acting like this, and I'm pointing it out to you, and do you still want to keep acting like this now that you're aware of it?" But anyway, so I would have every semester, I'd have a conversation with the students on confrontation, and every single student took it as a negative thing and said, "I don't like confrontation. I'm not going to do good with this." And I had to explain, like, well, it's not confrontation in a term like a physical confrontation. It's just confronting people. And still people didn't like that. And I took a valuable lesson from that, is that people just they want to keep their head down. They want to keep it in the sand. They don't want to do anything that might be perceived as confrontation, because immediately they'll be confronted back. And then when they're back on their heels, they don't know how to respond and react. And so there's just this aversion to do anything that might be perceived as ruffling feathers, I guess. I don't know what it is. And I just look at it as just cowardice, really.
Yeah. Craig, you got any thoughts on that?
I was thinking when just before Rabble said the last thing that he said, for some reason I was thinking about a soldier charging a hill, and the respect that we give that soldier, you know, the medals and all those kind of things, and the same type of person fighting for the same team, but doing it as a spy. So accomplishing something very powerful, right? But in a very, very different way. And all of those components, all of the things that we do, standing on a corner with a sign, you know, looking into public records, all those things do matter on some level, versus doing nothing at all, which doesn't matter at all, right? So again, there's always going to be what did you say earlier? You know, we all have our roles, and we have to do them in different ways, but they need to be equally effective. And you know,
we can't all be the head. Yeah. So when you were talking about charging a hill, I mean, in Vietnam, there was this, I don't know if y'all remember Hamburger Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And they called it Hamburger Hill because of the amount of carnage that happened to try to take this damn hill that then they almost immediately abandoned. There was really no strategic point other than some dudes in some office said that we want that hill. And they just kept sending men at it, right? And it's pretty disgusting, because it's like, you know, from our point of view, we're following orders. From the cops' point of view, they're following orders. From the doctor's point of view, they're following orders. And what Justin, I think, is saying, and I don't want to speak for him, he's very articulate, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but every little piece of cog and every little piece of wheel, it has its part, but the whole thing won't function the way that it's trying to function unless everybody does what the machine is telling it to do, as opposed to, hey, no, this isn't the direction we should be going.
Right. Exactly. I think there's some kind of false reassurance that people these days say, well, everybody has their part to play, and I'm doing my part behind the scenes, and I'm that cog in what's going on here. So everybody thinks that they're doing their part in this
Hmm.
cultural battle going on. But I would just challenge people like, okay, yep, you feel comfortable, and that's the key. You feel comfortable in the position you are, the cog that you are in this, but can you go one step further, take one step further? What more could you be doing that maybe isn't quite as comfortable as what you think? Basically what I'm talking about is I ran into people all the time like, my part is I'm doing stuff behind the scenes. I'm writing up, whatever their legislatures and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's fine and good, but can you challenge yourself to do something else besides that? I mean, you don't just have to do something that you're hidden from. Do something else. Do
Yeah,
more.
I think we all have our line in the sand, and I think my line in the sand might frustrate a lot of people. And I've said it publicly, and I'll say it again. My line in the sand is when I see light blue helmets with the white letters U and N on it, I know it's time to fricking go. I know that we've been fully invaded. I know that the globalists are coming to do some pretty horrible things. I know what happens when the UN moves into countries that they're saving and peacekeeping. Some really brutal and horrible things start to happen. I'm not fooled by it. I'm not deceived by it. Go ahead, Justin.
I'm not. I'm me, man. I'm not saying like what we're getting to is that once we realize that stuff's I'm saying like there's
I think
still
your I think your
intermediate
line, Justin. I think your line is way smarter than my line. My line is shit's kind of about just to hit the fan. Your line is well in advance of that to say, hey, let's avoid the shit and the fan.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, so-
exactly.
But that's why I said my line would probably frustrate a lot of people that would be like what you're saying. And I see the reason in that. But you have the temperament to be where you're at in the trenches currently. I have the temperament to want to raise scorched earth, my enemy.
Right.
And
yeah.
so I would be detrimental, I think. But go ahead.
But
You said you said shit when the shit hits the fans. Now, I think what you were describing the way Justin is versus the way you are, like he might just unplug the fan. What kind of harm is going to occur with? I mean, if the fan's not blowing all the shit all around, versus I know you put your head down and you're still trying to knock the fan over. You're trying to do the same thing, which is, do you understand what I'm saying? It's a little different approach, and I think you recognize it. But yeah,
I think I'm built to a hammer. Everything looks like a nail. And there, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
It sounds like you're with that line there with the UN blue helmets is that you'll get to a point where that there's no other option, and so then it becomes like, okay, this is the only thing that's left. So here we are. We're not in that scenario yet, and there are options. And I'm not saying you're saying this, but I get so tired of hearing people say just cliches all the time. Like, for example, like, oh, the tree of liberty needs to be watered. It's like, motherfucker, you can't even find your balls to stand up at a podium and speak publicly for 5 fucking minutes. And you're going, what? Water a fucking tree of liberty? Get the fuck out of here. I'm so tired.
I've actually said that a lot.
Well, watering don't mean literally, the blood of tyrants. We can do
and
things.
Patriots alike.
Yeah, we can do things before that, and I just think it's a misunderstanding of what our founding fathers were about. If we're all just like, all right, it's time now, let's go. There was the ration, like I posted earlier in the chat there that when I was first started protesting, I spent a lot of time thinking about the founding fathers and thinking about their imagery that they use. And one of the things that they use was a rattlesnake. So like on the Don't Tread on Me Gadsden flag, and the Gadsden flag has not the yellow one, but the stripes with the snake on has a lot of meaning for me, because we flew that in the Navy immediately after 9/11 happened. We flew it on the bow all ships. We went from the Union Jack to that Gadsden, and I remember being on watch when we got the message saying that that's what's going to be flown, and it was flown. It just recently got replaced back to the Union Jack, but I had a lot of respect for that flag. And then you have the join or die with the snake cut up in the individual parts of the colonies. And so I think that, the founding fathers, used that rattlesnake fittingly. It ain't gonna strike you unless you fucking fuck with it. But it is a respectable thing. You want to keep your distance from it because you know that it will strike you, but it will strike you if you fuck with it. And Americans are not like that anymore, man. We are not poised to say, get the fuck back, get off of our shit, man. I ain't doing this shit. We're more just like little bunny rabbits right now. And we go around saying things like, oh yeah, I would definitely be watering that tree. Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, I would definitely during COVID not allow somebody to tell me what to do. Meanwhile, the truth of the matter is that, yeah, okay, whatever. You certainly would, and you would. And that's not a good sign going forward if we wouldn't stand up to a mask. Wait till they want us to do. I used to say things all the time. I mean, where is your line on that? Like, if they want to do anal swab COVID testing, you going to go with
They
that?
did.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
They
were
did it
doing
to
that
our
shit.
fucking politicians, man. They
I
fucking
know.
fell for that shit. Going to
And-
China, talk about humiliation.
Yeah, and so where would the line be drawn? Like, oh, that's where I draw the line. That's when I would stand up, is when they start doing the COVID anal swab. Oh, really? Well, why not masks? It's the same fucking thing. It's
Yeah.
the same telling you what to do, and it'll lead to the next thing that you don't want done to you. What the fuck, man? So we just needed to be a little bit more like rattlesnakes instead of bunny rabbits. And I don't know. I really don't know why we're like that now and how we change that. I don't know.
I mean, these are important questions. And the reason why, I mean, it's not that I'm not doing anything. This platform hopefully maybe helps it to get the word out. I'm doing that part where I'm not, because I'm a very confrontational person. I mean, ask anyone that I've had an argument with or a heated discussion with. I'm pretty quick to come down off of it, but I'm also pretty quick to ramp up. And like I said, a man should know himself to a certain extent, understand what his weaknesses, what his strengths are, but it doesn't mean that you don't try to strengthen your weaknesses and continue to test your strengths.
Right. Right. And
yeah. So go ahead.
Sorry. No, and I agree. Like, yeah, everyone does have their part to do. So, like, if you're, for example, like you having the show and having your platform and using it, very, very valuable, very much appreciated, does great things for Americans. It really does. I also just wonder, though, it's what else can we do? Like, if that's one aspect of it. So, like, once the show is over, getting in your car and driving over to a city commission meeting and just sitting there.
You don't even have to say a word.
Well, yeah, to start with. But what else are we looking at and say, hey, I've done my part, I've done enough? Or are we saying, I'm doing my part, but what else can be done here? If it's only going to be 3% of us, man, that means we got to fucking be carrying quite a load here if it's only going to be 3% of us. And as far as I'm concerned, it's even less. I look to my left, I look to my right, and there's hardly anybody, hardly anybody. So what else can we be doing?
Yeah, can you read that for us, Craig? Can you do it in your best announcer voice? This is from Larry Minderlin.
I got an anal swab and tested positive for climate change.
I don't know if you can't see it or not, Justin, but I know you're on your phone.
It made me laugh.
It cracked me up too.
Had to put myself
I see it. Yeah, exactly.
But and Michael from Lawrence Accountability is like, when you're talking about what if they make you take an anal swab, we were both basically at the same time said they did make us take it, and they did it too. Like, these politicians did it. It's so flippin' ridiculous, man. It's like, and to your point, okay, and every time I start thinking that's not that bad, there's enough good men out there, they'll stand up to it. I don't know, man, because and even in the church, maybe even especially in the church, or especially, not especially, I don't know if that's a word or not. So, doctor, you can tell me, doctor. So the interesting,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's that with the church, because I was saying like, hey, we sit here and we play darts and we shove like snacks down our mouth and we talk, we pray, and then we talk about the word of God, and then we leave and we fellowship that way. I said, why don't we have a meeting at the local council meeting on whenever it is? Why don't we all show up there? We don't have to say anything. No one has to speak.
Exactly.
Just let them know
Exactly.
the men of the countryside are watching you or
Exactly, man.
listening.
It's so simple. And that's why that's why when I hear people saying, "Oh, we got to water the tree of liberty," it's like, bro, you won't even show up to a fucking community meeting and sit there for fear of what it'll do to your reputation of you being seen doing something like that, or God forbid you stop taking your God-given rights for granted and actually stand up there and say something. Oh no. Yeah, man, people won't do that. And oftentimes, what I'm finding with like Christians is that, often they think that like a continuation of like church would be to physically, like, I don't know, like stand on a corner and proselytize about the word of the Bible. But I think that it's more of an example. Like, I'm not going to stand on a corner and cite Bible verses, but I will show through example what it means to be bold. I will show, for example, what it means to have courage, to have strength, and to have faith. And those are things that I think people, would be able to watch and be inspired by. All of that stuff comes from Jesus. All of it comes from God, and it's in you as well. It's in everyone as well. If you do it, it's there, and you ask for it, it's there. But we're just so scared, and I tell you. And it's because we lack faith, really. We just think like, oh man, if I take a stand, I'm ruined, and so then I'm not going to do that. But if you have faith that yeah, you're probably right. You will be ruined, but you got to have faith. That's the point of it. You got to have faith that you're going to get through it. And I'll tell you one thing that really bothered me during COVID. And I was an atheist when it all started, up into 2021. But when it first hit in 2020. I remember specifically thinking to myself, sitting in my house, I was like, okay, this is not going well for the country, but as soon as they close down the churches, the Christians are going to turn around because you don't fuck with their religion.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly
Yep.
after that, they closed the churches down and the Christians didn't do a fucking thing. And I said, oh man, we're fucked. We are fucked. Who else is going to be standing in the gap there? The government is telling you now you can't even worship the way you want. And we all just said, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's good. And especially Catholics, where the main focus of it is the Eucharist, of the communion, like physically standing up, walking up front, and getting the blood and body of Jesus, the physical body and blood, was all put online. It was all put online, and so you're doing online church, but not able to get the Eucharist. Like, are you really worshiping the way you're supposed to be at that time? Like, let's go, people! This is America, and everyone was fine with it. Everyone just went along with it and like, well, they closed it down. They told us we had to. What were we supposed to do? Well, that's where the intuition of an American should have kicked in, and you should have been beating on the door every day. Be like, are we fucking in church now or what? And it just didn't happen. And I think that's saying a lot from a freaking atheist at the time. And
Yeah.
it's kind of something that, now those same Christians will judge me and my behavior without even realizing that the feeling's more than fucking mutual. As I watched you guys pretend that you were so devoutly religious, but the government stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. And you said, okay, sorry to ruffle your feathers. I'll just go back home and get online. See ya. I don't need to do this the way that I'm supposed to. You tell me what to do, government. But yeah, the Christians will take issue with me like not standing at church. It's like, oh, okay, I don't stand at church. You motherfuckers didn't even show up to church when COVID was happening. So don't give me that shit, man.
Yeah, Dr. Spees is stepping on some toes. Yeah, just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I'm a giant gaping vagina.
Well, not you, but I look at Christians, and they're, I don't know, man. They're all just like,
No, I mean that's to your point. The point is like, come on, man, where's your? And here we got right here in 1952, farmers quote unquote arrest the sheriff, and he's on the ground. By the way, he's the one on his back. There's farmers all around him, and there's a whole driveway full of other farmers that are standing in the gap. So for trying to evict a woman from her farm on behalf of the insurance company in Michigan in 1952, it says, and there's a sign that they put out there, kind of like Justin Spees was holding a sign trying to protect children. This is exempt property from seizure. This is a widow's homestead. And so this is, to your point, this is what we're lacking. We're lacking men of principle, of spine, I don't like to say the word religion, but of a faith-based, morale-based perspective, persuasion, influence. And that doesn't mean just because you go to church and you hold a Bible means that someone should follow you, right? I don't think that that's the case at all. But man, it's a hell of a lot better than this hedonistic cesspool we seem to be in right now.
Well, and it's also better than the pseudo religious Christianity where they feel like because they're going to church and maybe following certain aspects of what they should be following.
Okay.
Everybody's welcomed and
Yeah.
bring your withered and tethered. Yeah, like
Well,
I'm
exactly.
really, I'm sorry, Dr. Spees, and pardon my interruption. I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I want to be respectful of Craig's time. We had one more thing that if you'd like to stand by, Justin, maybe you and I can talk unless of course Craig wants to hang around, which I'd love to have him.
I'll hop off. I appreciate you guys.
But no, you're good. But I mean,
no, stay on.
yeah, he wants you to stay on. So I just got like one last thing to do that we were supposed to do at like 10:45. But being that I'm really crap at like sticking to a schedule, we're trying to organize our show so that it's a little more structured for you guys. And this is to Craig's credit. By the way, the links that you have in the spreadsheet, I can't even highlight them. I can't even highlight them to bring them. There's no way I can hyperlink on them. So I couldn't bring up your father's devotional. We'll work out the kinks of that. We'll work that out on the other end.
No problem.
And so one of the things that I'm interested in, and something that Craig has a bit of he's not an expert, but he's done some research. He's been doing it for a couple of years now, is reselling on eBay.
Yep.
And he said something that really fascinated me. I think he said it live, or we might have been talking afterwards in one of our post lives in the backstage here, where he said you can literally just go pick something up in your house, take a picture of it, and then post it. And you don't have to put any extra money into it other than a little bit of time to take a picture of it, find the picture, post it up there, list it. It's like, and the premise is another man's junk, thrift items, holy grail type stuff. And he says, Todd apparently has some really cool Magic the Gathering stuff. It looks like my dad's album is hitting $200+ now. And the Batman hat that I started the journey with, I can't scroll down on it. I can't even click into the thing.
No, go to my page.
Your page.
I emailed you my thumbnail, the thumbnail, so you could see it if that helps.
Hold on, let me show you what I'm looking at, and you tell me if I'm in the right thing. Thanks for bearing with us, Dr. Spees. But while I'll have you on here, and I don't know if Michael's still on the channel or not. I know he's working, but yes, get with me. If I don't have a high noon scheduled for Fridays at 12 o'clock, if that will work for you guys, or if there's a better day for you guys, or it doesn't have to be high noon, we can do a later in the night show.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, just get with me, figure out what, because I mean, you guys got constantly things are happening in Lawrence County. You guys are actually putting your nose to the grindstone, as it were, or the axe to the grindstone. But all right, so this is what I'm looking at, Craig. Is this where I need to be, or?
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the different things.
I can't hyperlink any of this. See, I can't even click on it.
Are you able to copy
drag? No, I can't. That's what I'm saying. I can't. I could copy it, but then
that's what I'm
would I
saying,
put it in a notepad? Okay.
But
I can't copy the actual just the HTTPS. I can copy the entire text field, is what I'm saying. So let me see WordPad. Let me see if I can paste it here.
I don't know if it's because
there it is. Now it turns into a hyperlink. Okay. It says, do you want to open this link? Sure. Yes. Okay. Okay. So all I have to do is copy the whole thing. Here it is. Perfect. Okay. And this video is about 5 minutes long. Dr. Spees, if you'd like to check it out, I think you might find it interesting. But this is kind of what Craig's into, and this is kind of something that we're going to talk about in the future.
So before you go on, so the whole premise of what I was talking about is this particular hat, which happens to be one of the very first eBay videos that I did. It turns out that selling on eBay is kind of boring. You do the same thing. I get up, I list, I ship, I list, and I do it again. But I picked up this hat because I thought it was cool, and I got it for like $1. And I put it on. Well, the last week when we would have done the show, it sold. I was going to wear it and, say, goodbye to this hat because this was my first video, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Put me on this journey, and it sold for, I think $15.97 or something like that. So, I have some fees and all those kind of things. And I can't remember exactly what's in this video. It is 5 minutes long. I don't even expect that you would watch any portion of it, but
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's
It's
the
an interesting
backstory behind
story.
it.
Like one man's junk is another man's treasure, and if you're patient and timing is everything. And yeah, and I would recommend that you go to Craig's channel and check this out under his videos. He's got a lot of different videos, and I'm hoping that he'll do some more of this kind of stuff because I would like him to do. I mean, I listen. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your content creation, but I think it'd be kind of cool if you had a playlist of like from A to Z. This is how you start. This is how I did it. You start your account, you do this, you do that, and then you do this, and then here's some of the places that I would go in my local area. And maybe to give it as a guide. And the cool thing is also like, even if you make it and then unlist it, and then once you get monetized, it'd be kind of a cool playlist because it'd be a really good resource for people, That said, but I'm a marketing genius. I'm the white Kanye. Everyone knows it. Dr. Spees, do you have any input on that? And Craig, do you want to continue along with this conversation or has this conversation run its course for you, Craig?
Yeah. No, I mean, and by the way, we had some structure that we decided that we were going to try to start. And we started off with something that elicited a number of other people to talk about something. So to me, by design, what we intended was to every portion of what we had laid out is just a testament of the fact that you and I brought something to the table that other people were interested in on some level. So I'm absolutely thrilled that we started the way that we did, and however we end will be what it is. So
yeah, I'm glad that you see it that. Yeah, I'm glad that you see it that way too, because I don't like it to be so structured that it lacks spontaneity and flexibility. Yeah. And I'm glad that we're simpatico with that. Dr. Spees, the floor is yours.
Yeah, speaking of FAQs content, I just wanted to say I appreciate that you posted on your community tab on your YouTube channel there the other day. I had hopped on to Tyrant Terminator Audits. He was live streaming and taking calls, and so I just called in there. I was just looking for some support, and FAQ there was in there and heard it and captured it, and I just want to say, man, I appreciate you spreading the word. Hopefully it gets back to TTA and get some of these things highlighted and get a lot more views on my stuff. So I appreciate it.
It's funny. I did one of the videos of Tyrant Terminators that Wrangler did, and the parody one kind of that I did. I never thought that I would hear anything from TTA, and he actually mentioned me. I can't remember if he emailed me, but because of the video. So he gave me some love in a not so public way, but enough for me to be appreciative of the fact that he understood that I was basically saying, because Justin said, I'm inspired by some of the things that you do, and likewise, I am inspired by some of the things that you do. He does, and we like to hear those things all the time. So, it's a good thing.
Yeah, man, he sets a great example. I mean, there was one where he got like basically he was in there just filming at a health department and got the whole like police and sheriffs called on him, and the guy's just cool as a cucumber. The entire everybody in there, sheriff, police, everybody, just cool as a cucumber. And that's good stuff there.
Yeah.
And again, that's to the point where some of us need to be on chains with really spiky collars guarding junkyards, and some of us are able to be out there in the more refined world and are able to conduct themselves and maintain their frame, as it were, to use that kind of a word. And I don't have a problem with that. For me, I'm I'd rather choke slam a motherfucker and just deal with it.
Well, the thing about that though is that there's no reason for that. You know, given the circumstances, there's no reason.
Exactly.
For that. So,
I know that. It's just my lizard brain won't go. "Arr, arr, arr." Anyway, go ahead.
well, you know, part of the refinement of being men is to
Choke slam.
match. Well,
Oh, sorry.
that's always going to be one of our tools, but it doesn't have to be our only tool. You know, we we have to match the situation for what it is, you know. And so, for example, that what I was just talking about with TTA and just being calm and cool, like, sure, you could start choke slamming, but man, you are, first of all, you're not going to get your point across. Second of all, you're going to have some serious legal issues. So there are just, you know, there's just ways around. And if you're not doing anything wrong, there's no reason to start choke slamming. You know, if you're not doing anything wrong and they start fucking with you, you know, I think it's a much better tool just to fucking just play it cool, you know?
Yeah, I want to demonstrate something, right? So it's like I kind of want to show you what it's like to be frustrated with the fact that in a world full of men that you look at as Batman, this is what I feel like sometimes. I feel like the boy wonder Robin, right? You know, and I've got like a cape that's not even a full on cape, and I've got a little grappling hook. That's my utility belt, right? Whereas you got Batman, man. He's got the whole kit. Here we go. Let's see if I can share this. You know, he's got the whole kit and caboodle. You know, he's got the, you know, it's like the whole armor of God, if you want to take it biblically. You know, I mean, he's a man. He doesn't have any special powers, but he does have a utility belt. He's got, you know, the visor that helps him see different things. You know, he girds his loins. You know, you know what I'm saying. He's got the breastplate of righteousness.
Yeah.
You know, he's got the what do you call it? The shoes of, I don't even know all the armor of God. But the point I'm trying to make is I get freaking frustrated, dude, because it's like I look at these men like you, like Craig, like Based Oracle, like Leroy, and like other men that I look up to, and I'm like, man, you have a lot of tools, like my pastor. You know, you've got all these tools, and here I am with my little grappling hook, you know, and you start going,
No way.
you know,
No,
and maybe you don't see me that way, but it's like it's frustrating because it's like how do you make it look so easy to maintain your composure? You just fucking do. That's the answer.
Sometimes you just need a bigger grappling hook.
Yeah, exactly. Because it
I see what you did there. Okay, all right.
It doesn't do anything to bust out the choke slam. It doesn't do anything. You know, it's not gonna.
That struck me as to tickle me. Bust out it. Bust out him.
Like it's a card you throw on the table, like choke slam plus 13 power.
But it
reverse, draw four.
This talk right here, I think, ties into what you were saying earlier about Jordan Peterson and being a monster. It's like all of those things are in you. It don't mean you have to immediately go to the monster. It doesn't mean you only go to the monster. Those are things that people know are there and that you could go to that, but you have other tools as well. And,
so to your point, Dr. Spees, and I think you're gonna really dig this, dude. But this is kind of like something I'm trying to work on as a mantra to remember, and I'll hopefully you can hear this. I'm gonna let it play.
The definition of anger, I like this. The definition of anger is an emotional punishment you give yourself for somebody else's behavior. The definition of
an emotional punishment you give yourself for somebody else's behavior. Wow.
Well, you know, and not to be a douche and quote Rage Against the Machine, those fucking commies, but you know, anger is a gift. Anger is a gift, and oftentimes we try to avoid it and think it's a bad thing, but it can be a gift. It can fuel passion, you know. If you lose that fire, then what do you have, really? You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that anger is what you should use all the time. It's there, and it's an appropriate emotion. It's an appropriate feeling. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have it. It just wouldn't exist. It would have just come out of our system over the years, you know, as we evolve. But it's there for a reason. We just got to figure out how to use it, you know.
Yeah, I'm
Well, like,
looking up. Go ahead,
I-
Craig.
what Justin said, I mean, many of the emotions that we have, they're there for a reason. It's what we do with it, right? So, like,
Exactly.
feeling like you want to, what'd you say, choke slam someone, like feeling that way is probably a healthy feeling.
Oh, it
It's
feels
what
so good to
it's
want to just
what you
get your
yeah.
hands on an insufferable fucking cunt
Well,
and just fucking ragdoll the fuck out of them until
Well,
they
I'll
realize,
just-
okay, I yield.
but
You're
a
fucking-
verbal,
fucking damn right, because the next step was to get buried in 5 different fucking counties in a shallow fucking grave, and your teeth
well,
would get tossed into the ocean. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
but a
in
verbal,
Minecraft,
Minecraft, okay.
a verbal choke slam is probably more
Oh, yeah,
effective.
it's
Now,
perfect. Yeah.
some of those things, like those videos I recently posted to the county commissioner, I titled them things like free speech swirly, and that falls back into the bullying. So when we talk about bullying, it's not like literally grabbing someone and giving them a swirly like you'd think in school, but you can give them a free speech swirly.
Or
You
if
can
you
give them
email it.
Hmm?
Or if you email it and then they respond, and then you have, like, you create a record of it all, you know what I mean? Like you said,
Exactly.
there's many ways that you can smartly
Exactly. That's
You got called
exactly
out.
right, man. That's
got-
exactly right. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Craig, do you want to read in your best I call bullshit on Dr. Spee's voice, the message from Michael from Lawrence Accountability?
He says, "This MFer is lying to you. Justin knows he enjoys the choke slam just as much as I do."
See, now he's trying to twist it. Oh, the verbal.
Yeah, I was gonna say
in Minecraft.
the verbal choke slam.
Well, I did that last night on. I was in Sarah's. I was in Sarah's channel, and there some dude was like trying to troll me and shit, and they're like, he was trying to talk shit about my beard, and he's trying to, all kinds of stuff, saying I was ugly or whatever, and he's like blah 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 blah. And somebody said something else, and I was like, they were like, "Hey, you look like this guy, like DL Hughley or some other person," and I was like, I thought he kind of looked like Beyonce minus a weave. And everyone was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Dude, come on, man, don't fuck with me, dude. I'm rapier sharp."
Yeah, we got to have thick skin. We can't be triggered. We got to kind of roll with the punches, because haters are always going to hate, man. Haters hate.
I'd rather just have a meaningful conversation. I really would. So this is about Rage Against the Machine of the future and the Maxine mandates at shows. Yeah, they sold the fuck out. They weren't raging against any. They were part of the machine. Rage for the machine.
Yeah, it's pathetic. Just pathetic.
So it's kind of interesting. All right. I don't really have much more. I don't know that we can go in too many more directions here, but Dr. Spees, do you have anything? I'm sorry, Craig?
I think we did fine.
Yeah, I thought we did great.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Good
Dr.
to have
Spees, do you have anything that you want to promote? That any last words? Anything you want to talk about? You got cases? How are they progressing? Do you want to give us a sneak peek and save it for a bigger show, or it's up to you completely?
Well, right now the big thing on my mind is my YouTube channel, because I want to use it to obviously educate. So I would appreciate everyone that's listening to do your part to help share my channel, my videos and stuff to any of the bigger platforms that you're aware of, and help me network and make that connection. I feel like if I can get landed on some of these channels and start to continue my growth on YouTube, that it'll translate into positive things. So the more people that see what's going on, the better it is. And so I need everyone's help in doing that and sharing as much as possible. I'd really appreciate that. That's why I appreciate FAQ there doing his community post to Terminator or Tyrant Terminator, because if you know people, or you have an in channel there to share that, I would really appreciate that. And I know you do as well, GS. So I really appreciate all you guys doing that, and just really grateful for all you guys.
Well, I
Did
mean,
you
it's
say-
like you said.
Did you
Go
say
ahead.
N-word channel?
Yeah, that's what I heard too, Craig.
Say
I
again?
think you said
What?
I
the
swear that's
N-word
what he said.
channel.
He said you have an
You said
N-word
no,
channel.
an N-word thing to a channel. It sounded like you said the N-word. I'm like, whoa, man, whoa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
I know.
Come on now.
You're in good
He
company.
said, "Come
dude.
on now."
I think if Craig can take a dick, he should be able to take a joke, right? I mean,
Roger that.
Oh, I
Well,
mean,
that's what they say. That's what they say.
It's a Richard.
Richard. Yes. So we could take a Richard. There you go. But
All right, and maybe we'll see you guys Friday then, high noon.
yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and put it in there. Then let's plan on high noon. I don't know if is Michael still gonna, or is he gonna bitch out? Are we gonna have to choke slam him in or what?
Well, he gave the thumbs up in the chat, so I think he'll
All
be
right.
there. So
Yeah, but hold up, Miracle Whip or Mayo? Justin, I don't know if you've ever opined on that.
I don't think I have, but I don't eat either one of them. I don't put anything on that like that. So
all right. I can respect that. Nice and fence city, sitter. Like if you had to choose, you would like the tangy zip of Miracle Whip because you're not some basic bitch that uses just plain old mayo, right?
well,
I mean, if you had to
really,
choose,
dude, I really don't
You-
even know what the difference is between them. To be honest with you, so I don't know.
the tangy zip of Miracle Whip, the non-basic bitch. I mean, I'm laying it out for you in such an unbiased way, Justin.
Well,
It
they
should
look
be
the same to me, so I don't really know.
All right, fine, whatever. All right, so Lawrence Accountability, he's in. All right, so you heard it here, guys. 12 noon Friday. We got a high noon with Lawrence Accountability and with yours truly here on the Dr. Spees here.
and
the
and
dreaded Raul
together,
Marazzo.
me and Lawrence Accountability are dreaded accountability, and
Oh, yes, I like that.
so it's a combination of our names, a confluence of us coming together and doing dreaded accountability, so
I'm digging
everyone,
that. I'm digging
yeah,
that a lot.
isn't that cool? And so everyone just kind of stay tuned to that, because we got our ear to the ground and our feet on the ground, and just doing our thing. So stay tuned to that as well.
Outstanding. Looking forward to it. And Justin, you can hop out. You can stay in. It's up to you. But Craig, do you have anything you
All
want
right,
to promote?
we'll see you. Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thanks, man. No, great show. As
Yes,
it
the answer
was.
is yes. Yes, I have lots of things to promote. Check out my
I-
eBay channel. If you go ahead, post that Shizer.
my eBay. I've never thought about doing that, but yes, I would. I can do that.
Yeah. If you want some style and panache, yeah.
Yeah,
If
we
you
have
want some
the
flair.
name of my. So I'll tell you this: the name of my store is ECW Picked for You.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. So Echo. So it's Echo, Charlie,
Let me
Whiskey
get to it. I'm gonna link it for you.
for
Pick
you.
for
Oh,
you.
yeah, thank you. That's mighty white of you, Craig. All right.
ECW Picked for You.
Yeah, if you can post that in there. Scheiße, yeah. Und Scheiße. Maybe I'm a Jew and now I'm deeply insulted. Und Scheiße. Von uns die Bahnhof. Ja, ein Bier bitte. Jawohl. Das ist gut. Hey,
So
Jews
my-
can speak German too, by the way. They speak Deutsch.
I think that's it. If you find something that you like and you reach out to me, I can send you a coupon, a special coupon. I mean, we have all kinds of stuff: men's clothes, women's clothes, that stuff. Of course, I have my channel, FAQ the Madness. I'm getting married in a couple of days, so that's really
you're
what's
lucky,
going on in
dude.
my mind.
You're lucky you should, because I would have told Liza, I would have been like, he didn't even want to shout out good news.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'll
I
be
was gonna
dropping
throw
the
you
link.
under the bus.
I'll be dropping the link because we're going to, we have family both in Utah and where I'm from in Anderson, in Indiana. So, we originally was going to do it. We were going to do it at the courthouse, and so it's gotten to be a little bit bigger. But if you all want to share in the experience, then we'll have the link for you guys to be able to watch it.
So I hope you'll make it very obvious when you put the link up for the guy who bumped his head a lot and forgets his own wife needs a ride or something sometimes. So it's nothing personal, but I definitely would like to tune in and maybe live stream it on your live stream, so that way I can get out that information. But congratulations. Absolutely. One more housekeeping question is Saturday, same time, same bat channel. 7, wasn't it 7 p.m. that we get together? Is that something you and Liza would like to do more regularly, or
Oh yeah. So we
Lonely
will
Hearts
be.
Cafe?
Maybe if we did a truncated version, possibly, because I won't be here.
It's not a problem.
But Yeah. So I mean,
No,
I'll
it's
get
not a
back with
problem.
you.
Is
I'll
that
get back
something
with you.
you normally would want to do more regularly? Is my question.
We definitely want to do
Okay.
it again for sure.
All right.
You
Yeah,
you've
I
created
really
you
enjoyed
have
it.
created a monster. I'm just going to let you know.
Good. Well, I mean, I think she was bubble wrapping her feelings, but maybe she got the answer she was looking for, and
Yeah.
the kitty got claws, and maybe she retracted them and said, "Okay, maybe I didn't need to claw. Maybe I misunderstood." So hopefully she got some clarity on that or whatever, and I'm glad that she's enjoying it. I think my wife did a very good job as well,
You did.
and my daughter might actually be hopping on at some point in time, and she's a big girl. So daddy
Yep.
doesn't need to jump to her defense and protect her because she's a big girl. She puts her big girl pants on one leg at a time. So for me,
See, we might be able to do like, because I don't know how old your daughter is, but I have another daughter and she might
Mhm.
do something like that. She's with baby, but she's like not working like she was, and so she might be interested in doing something like that too. You never know.
yeah, she's 30. So she's an old lady. So let's see. Make sure you drop a comment here and on Craig's. Yep. Morning and Liza are great women. Yeah. So I mean, it's good
Yeah.
to have some estrogen balancing some things out, because I mean, if it's just too much logic, then it gets boring, right? You got to
I
have
agree.
some illogicality. All right, so housekeeping on my part. I do have a meeting, dinner with Craig Hendry tomorrow, somewhere near the Louisville metro or surrounding area. I don't want to dox too much in case 50 is going to try to harass, but I'm really looking forward to it. And my wife and I have dinner plans, so hopefully we'll be able to have a sit down meal with Craig and his family, and we can just kind of chat and stuff. And I'm telling you, it breaks my heart, Craig. I don't know if you're listening or if you have listened or what's up. We got the rabbit in the house. It breaks my heart knowing you're going to be leaving this country, dude. But I wish you Godspeed, man. I really do. America's sure going to miss men like you. That said, I'm going to go to the extra, and we'll catch you all on the flip side. And Rabbit, reach out to me if you want to get together and do some kind of a show. All right.
The only thing that enrages me is when you hear people say, you must believe me. I have no obligation to believe anybody. You have an obligation, if you want me to believe you, to prove what you're saying. I have a right to ask simple, fair questions. How do you know that? How can I trust that? And if you don't give me those answers, then I just don't believe you. And I don't have to believe you. And if your recourse is, you're a bad person for not believing me, fuck you.